I'll never forget my friend's April Fool's prank. Kyle was always a clown. I was going to college to become an engineer, and he was in almost all of my classes. I worked and studied diligently, but Kyle never took anything seriously. He constantly distracted himself and me from getting anything ever done. Kyle would also try to convince me to skip class every day, but I never let him be that much of a bad influence on me. I encouraged him to have good attendance, because tuition was expensive as hell, and engineering is one of those majors when you can't miss class, or else you'll be screwed. Unfortunately, despite all my efforts, he didn't show up to 90% of our classes. One day, I snuck in some text to see where he was at, but I never got any reply, even after the lecture was over. I managed to record the whole thing on my phone to help him catch up whenever I saw him next, but I didn't know when that would be. We weren't roommates, so I didn't see him after school either. I chalked it up to Kyle sleeping in or just flat out ignoring my calls and messages, so I wasn't worried about it and went on with my business. I got through my studying for the evening, then I played a few rounds of card, then eventually went to bed. Then, in the middle of the night, I woke up to Kyle FaceTiming me. I rolled over to look at my phone, but after thinking about it for a second, I didn't answer. I was extremely tired and had class in the morning, so having him yapping in my ear about something unimportant was the last thing I needed. So, I set my phone away and ignored it. Not even a minute later, the ringing started back up again. My phone was on vibrate, but the reverberation through my nightstand was super loud, so it was annoying as hell. I kept hanging up, but Kyle would call me back to back 3 or 4 more times. I was about to give in and answer if he had called for a 5th time, but he didn't. Relieved, I quickly fell back asleep. About 2 hours later, around 4 in the morning, I woke up again to Kyle calling me. I was finally fed up, but I saw he had called me 10 times before I noticed. I answered, fully ready to tell him off, but then I saw his face, and I realized he had been serious the entire time. Kyle was in a dark room, and his face was distraught, like he'd been crying for hours. His face was bright red and pouring sweat. Worst of all, there was a noose around his neck. I got up from my bed and started talking at full volume, completely disregarding my roommates, saying,
Kyle, what the hell is happening? Where are you? I don't know. They just took me and said they're gonna keep the stool from under me if I try to escape. The stool? Shit. Oh God, please tell me you're joking. You have to come find me. Please, I'm begging you. Save me. No, Kyle. Oh, shit. I'm gonna call the cops. Kyle. April Fools. You sick piece of shit. Screw you.
I was so unbelievably pissed at Kyle. He played practical jokes on me before, but nothing to that intensity. He'd only tricked me for maybe 30 seconds, but I was honestly traumatized. There was no chance of me going back to sleep after that, so I just left my bedroom and made coffee. I had to explain to my roommates why I woke them up screaming, and they offered to help me get back at him since we still had all of the April Fool's Day ahead of us. But I honestly wasn't in the mood for more jokes. Our class was at 8 a.m., so I had plans to get at him when I saw him. I couldn't believe he was willing to miss an entire day of class just weeks before finals, all for some idiotic prank that I would literally lose sleep over. Unfortunately, he was a no-show again. This made me even more mad, as I figured he was avoiding his just punishment. But then, later that day, I was pulled into the dean's office by a couple of cops and got hit with the most devastating news of my life. Kyle's April Fool's prank had gone horribly wrong and turned deadly. He was found by his roommates in the morning with the stool he'd been standing on tipped over and his phone on the ground. I was the last person he called, so they questioned me if I knew anything about the incident. I told them about the prank he pulled on me, which is why I didn't call for help. Unfortunately, because I hung up on him, I had no idea what happened just seconds after I got off the phone. Ever since then, I felt this immense weight of guilt hanging over me. If I had just stayed on the phone, I could have called his roommates or rushed over there myself and saved him. Instead, I did nothing, and now he's gone. This story was inspired by a horrific incident regarding an April Fool's prank turned deadly. after a male played with a rope during a video call to a friend and accidentally slipped. This prank ultimately cost him his life. The incident occurred at the victim's residence on Monday. He was identified as Abhishek Raghuvanshi. April the 1st is celebrated as April Fool's Day, with people playing tricks on their friends, family, and colleagues. But in Abhishek's case, it was his last day. The post-mortem of the male has since been conducted.
I was munching fries sitting in the school cafeteria when Zeke and Milo joined me. "Did you hear about the weeping woman?" Zeke asked. I took a big bite of my chocolate cookie and scoffed. "Shut up, Zeke. We all know tomorrow's 1st April, so whatever prank you and Milo are trying to pull, it won't work." Zeke got defensive, saying his neighbor's son saw this middle-aged, anemic woman in the abandoned tunnel near the broken railroad. When he saw her, he just ran for his life. He said the woman had no eyelids or lips. I still refused to believe him because I was certain this was some stupid prank, but Zeke kept mocking me, saying I was not brave enough to go there and blah blah blah. Fast forward, we were on our way home after school when Zeke again started talking about this scary woman. Our argument went on, and suddenly Zeke declared whoever would go to that tunnel right now and record a video will get a free bucket of KFC chicken nuggets tomorrow. I thought Milo would say yes right away because the only thing that motivated him was food. But to my surprise, he was hesitating. At that moment, I knew these two were in this together. They just want me to go out there and get spooked, so they tell everyone how easily I fell for their trap for April Fool. So I accepted the challenge. I told them to go home. Meanwhile, I started walking towards the woods. My plan was simple. Go to the tunnel, record myself roaming around for 10 to 15 minutes, and then return home. As I walked, I kept looking back to make sure if Zeke or Milo weren't following me. FYI, they weren't. The railroad used to be a way of transportation for coal miners before World War. I'd been there a few times with my dad to collect rare plants for our garden. That place has become a low-maintenance sanctuary, honestly. When I reached the spot, the sun had already gone down. The huge abandoned tunnel lay in front of me. I turned the flashlight on my phone to see in the dark. The tunnel is not very long, probably 30 feet, so the end of it was clearly visible. I began recording myself. Trees and ivy branches had curved the tunnel into a greenhouse. I could see bats hanging from above. Drops of rainwater were falling from the roof. A damp smell of rotten leaves and dead rats surrounded the air inside. I walked around a bit and took some selfies. 10 minutes passed by and there was no woman with missing eyelids. I sent a voice text to Zeke, saying he better be ready to buy me those nuggets. I was all set to return home when I heard something moving in the corner. I assumed it was a rat, but as I got closer, I found a headless bat. It was having his final shudders of death. A small pool of blood was beneath it. Gruesome, huh? I immediately jumped, hearing the gravel-like voice from behind. There was a homeless man in his late 40s, his face contorted into a grin while he repeated himself. Pretty gruesome, huh? I was a little shaken by his sudden appearance, but still maintained a poker face. Didn't you hear you come? Just like that bat? No. And also didn't hear the predator when it came for it. I faked a nervous chuckle. You're funny. He stopped smiling, then waddled close to the headless bat and stomped on it. Better to put it out of its misery, he muttered, closing his eyes. Ghost of a woman or not, but I was a second away from wetting my pants. I've often seen those scary stories where people start to run after facing a possible psycho or serial killer, and in 99% of those cases, they get chased. I was so scared that I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to make it alive if I ran, so I put on a courageous face and said, "Well, it's getting late. Mom will be worried." I turned around, keeping my body language as casual as possible, and started to walk. Did I try to look back to see if he was following me? I didn't have to, because a few seconds later the homeless guy was walking right next to me. "So, what were you doing here anyway?"
Just exploring. What is there to explore here? I kept walking, so did he. The tunnel now was feeling never-ending to me. Nothing, just a casual stroll. I muttered. My throat was so dry in fear that it got difficult for me to speak clearly. He was following my pace, kind of too close to me that our shoulders almost touched. I calculated every move because somehow I felt the only way out was to be normal about this whole scenario. Sweat dripped from my forehead, yet I was terrified to wipe it. The man chuckled, saying, "You sweat a lot, or are you just scared?" I glanced at him, still didn't stop. I stop, I die, I thought. I replied, keeping my cool as much as possible. "No, it's just hot in here." We were almost at the other end of the tunnel. I could see the reflecting glim of the distant streetlight. My hopes were getting high. I could make out alive. Just then, when we were about to step out of the tunnel, the man blocked my way. My heart stopped. Our eyes locked. I was in tears, but he didn't blink. Not once. Then, he leaned closer, brought his mouth next to my ear and whispered, "Don't end up like that bat, kiddo. I'll see you around." He then passed on something squishy into my hand, and I couldn't even refuse. I just grasped whatever the hell he gave me like his puppet and ran. I stopped once I reached home. I broke down on the porch, panting and gasping for air. My hand was still closed, holding something wet and squishy in it. I slowly opened it and let out a blood-curdling scream. It was the severed head of the bat. I had never believed in fate, but when I met Orion, it seemed the universe had put us together. She wasn't like any other girl I had been with. She was quiet, sweet, and shy around other guys. The way she tucked a strand of her blonde hair behind her ear when she was blushing, my heart literally thumped in my chest like some jackhammer. I thought she was the one. I proposed and she said yes right away. No second guesses, no questions asked. Within a week, she was living with me. I didn't even have to ask her. It felt like a dream, until it wasn't. The first time I heard her in the guest room, I thought she was sick. There were voices, muffled, like arguing, more like she was fighting with herself. Then came the screaming. 1 week later, it was overt, angry sometimes and desperate other times. The morning after, I asked her about it, as she had just come out and looked very tired.
I have sleepwalking issues. Sometimes I put on a movie or something to calm down.
She muttered.
Don't worry about it.
I wanted to trust her, but more and more things were getting out of hand. She treated her laptop as if it were a treasure chest. One morning, while we were having breakfast, I reached for the laptop to check my emails.
Don't!
She screamed, lunging across the table. Before I could react, the salad fork buried itself into the back of my hand. I yelped, blood trickling between my fingers.
Oh, God. God. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Orion sobbed, cradling my injured hand. She cried for hours that day. I forgave her. I shouldn't have. I found her secret that night. Orion was asleep beside me, as usual, but I was gnawed by curiosity. I slipped out of bed and went into the guest room. The laptop was on a guest that's in incognito mode. The tab read, Sizzlin' Susie. I clicked. The screen filled with images and videos of her, though she looked nothing like Orion I was in love with. A blonde wig, heavy makeup, skin I had never seen her expose, twisted in ways I didn't recognize. She moved differently, more confident, more sensual. She was a stranger. I almost puked. I felt betrayed. The woman I loved had been lying to me, exposing herself online for strangers, for perverts. I went back to bed, but even in the morning, my anger boiled over. "We need to talk," I said as soon as she woke up. She rubbed her eyes.
What is it?
"I know about your OnlyFans account." Her face went pale.
What are you talking about?
Don't lie to me! I saw your laptop last night. Sizzling Susie? It's you! Don't even try to deny it!
Finn, that's not me. I swear.
I'm not an idiot! My voice cracked with rage.
Fine. I'm done. I don't want to be with you anymore.
Her words struck me with a force I did not expect. She was leaving me? No, no way. Not when I had done everything for her. Grabbing the salad fork from the table, I plunged it into her neck. Again and again. Her voice became gurgled gasps that faded into silence. Blood spurted out all over the floor as her body stiffened and then started twitching. I stared at the body for quite a while. The weight of what I did bore on my unsteady chest. I took her under the arms, wrapped her in a black plastic bag, and in panic, moved her toward the door, unsure where to dump the corpse. I had almost turned the knob when the doorbell rang. My heart stopped. I wiped my face with my sleeve, swallowed hard, and cracked the door open. A woman stood outside. The woman from the OnlyFans page.
Hey, you must be Finn. I'm Susie.
I couldn't breathe.
I know this is awkward,
She said, glancing down at her hands.
but I had to come. Orion and I, well, we don't talk much. She's ashamed of me. I get it. But I started OnlyFans to make ends meet. And when she found out, she begged me to quit. Said she finally found someone special and didn't want you to misunderstand.
How did you find me? My voice cracked.
Orion finally reached out a few weeks ago. Told me about you. I figured I'd meet you before someone else spilled the truth.
My vision blurred. Orion had been telling the truth. The screams? She must have been begging Susie to stop, fighting to protect what we had. But none of that mattered now. Come in, I said, forcing a smile. Orion's been dying to see you. Susie's face lit up.
Oh, such a relief. I knew she couldn't stay mad at me.
Susie stepped inside. I followed her in, closing the door slowly behind me. The click of the lock seemed deafening. As the door shut, I glanced over my shoulder. Susie was looking around the living room, unaware of the dark red pool seeping from the plastic bag in the corner. I stared at her back, and something hot burned behind my eyes. Tears rolled down my face as I clenched my fists. I had no choice now, no way out. Susie turned around, stared at my face for a few seconds, then asked in a confused voice.
Are you okay?
I forced a smile. I will be. I reached for the salad fork still sitting on the table. I smiled, my face wet with tears, but a voice whispered in my head. Get it together, Finn. After all, you have 2 bodies to dump tonight.